some of this, the difficulty of today is just typing it into the calculator correctly, and we all have different calculators, and I'll help you with that. So if you're whatever one that you're using of mine, awesome job. Whatever one you're using of mine, you probably want to consistently get that same one just in case it looks a little bit different. All right. Yesterday we talked about square roots, and remember, square root means there's two numbers or a number I multiply by itself. It has to be the same exact replica. And we talked about 5 squared is 25. So 5 is really the square root because 5 times 5 gives me 25. Yesterday we dealt with that radical sign. And the radical sign tells you to take the square root. The difficult part of today is you have to watch whether they want the positive, the negative, or if they want both. And this is all going to be indicated by, perfect, 72, yep. It's all going to be indicated by what's in front of that square root sign. So if we go down to number 1, because there is no sign in front of it, they only want the positive answer. So everyone grab your calculator. You should see a square root key. If you have, can I see your calculator quick? If you have this one, it's to the left of number 7, but like in the background in a different color. Do you see it? Okay. How do you get that button to work? You got to use that second key. So you hit second and the x squared button, and this should show on your screen. For you, you just have to use the square root key. Okay. Hit second. Then hit that button and you'll get a square root with a parenthesis. Hit your second. And no, don't hold it, just touch it. Oh, do it one. Sorry. Hit it again. Now hit that button. There you go. Gotta hit your second button. The one that says second, and then your x squared button. Now it's on there. Did you get it? Okay, you gotta hit the second button. Don't hold it, push it. And then you'll get the square root. Got it? Yours is a little bit different. You type the number in, then hit that square root key. Do you find yours? Find yours? It should still be in the background here. Oh, it's right there in the background. Okay. So you hit shift, that button, and then it should be on your screen. Ooh, okay. So you're going to have to type your number in first, too. Okay, so now that, hold on one second. Now that everybody has that check mark, Manny and Audrey are going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to help you guys first. Now that you have the check mark, type in 64 and hit equals. You type 64 first, then do that shift and that button. Make it 8. So you just have to type the number in first. You good? What does your calculator say? 8. Okay. Now look at example number 2. They have this plus minus sign. That means we need to include that in our answer. So now I want everybody to practice typing this. You don't have to type the plus minus into your computer, or your calculator, I mean, but I want you to type it into your square root. Or, good mollies. Don't type it into your calculator. I'll figure this out eventually. So you got to hit the second, this x squared button. It puts that square root symbol. Then type 1.21 and hit equals 1.1, which is where they got this answer. Yeah, they are. 72. Oh, they're just literally there. Oh, okay. So we're actually on this page. Grab a calculator. Can I staple? Yes, you can. There's a stapler right there, and then grab a calculator. When it's a fraction, don't put the fraction into your calculator. What happens is it's really, whoopsies, the square root of the top number and the square root of the bottom number, but notice there's a minus sign out front. So we know that our answer is going to be negative. Now type in both of those separately. First type in the square root of 25, and you get 5. Then type in the square root of 36, and you'll get, okay, so it's on this x squared, but see how it's in the background? You just got to hit the second key first. Oops, clear second, then that x squared button again. Yep, so now you see that check mark. Now type in 25 and then hit equals. So the square root of 25 is 5. Okay? Now, I don't want you to do that though, okay? Don't put it in as a fraction. You should never be entering fractions in your calculator, and that's because of what is going to come in the future for you. I need you to understand that your fraction under a square root is actually two separate ones. All right, I want everybody to type in number 4. The square root of negative 16. Make sure you use your negative button, not the minus sign. It's down by your 0. So you got to type in 16. Type in 16. And now hit that negative sign. There you go. Then hit your square root. What's it say? Why?
You have to put negative and front express negative, then 16. Then I did that.
Still says error, right? Remember, a square root means the same number multiplied by itself. What number times itself gets me negative 16? Because if you take 4 times 4, what do you get? Positive. If I take negative 4 times negative 4, I get still a positive. Okay? So if the negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive.
But a negative times positive. But that's not the same number.
Just wait. These have to be identical. They have to. That's the rule of square root. Okay? That's the rule of square root. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If you have a square root and a negative underneath, the answer is no real number. No real number. You can even use the hashtag sign, pound sign, whatever you want to call it, number symbol. All right. On your own silently, practicing your calculator, paying attention to the signs. I want you to do got it A, B, and C. All right. On A, your fraction, you should have done them separately, correct? Gable, what'd you get for an answer on A? 3/4. Agree or disagree, everyone? Agree. Nicely done. Manny, B, what'd you get? Agree or disagree? I will count that wrong. You have to have the plus or minus in front of it. Why did Gable not need one? If there's nothing there, it's just an understood positive number, right? C, Chloe. Agree or disagree? Nicely done with your sign. D, Cooper. Oh, that's okay. Did I only say ABC? Okay, sorry, I meant D. My bad. D, what's the answer? No real number. Because when you type it into your calculator, it says domain error. And also the negative is underneath. If you always want to double check yourself, type it in. And you're like, cool, we got this. This is about as hard as it gets today, okay? 5. The difference is they're going to give us an equation sometime, but it's okay. You can do this. Every time it's an equation, you always have both a positive and negative, and you can use that plus minus sign. I'm totally fine with it, okay? To solve equations with x squared, what work you need to show for me is showing me that you're taking the square root of both sides. The square root of a squared, what happens is they cancel each other and you're left with just an a. You always have a positive and a negative answer, and then you use your calculator. What's the square root of 289? 17. Anybody else get 17? Manny says yes. Allison says yes. Box it in. Try F and G. Show me that you're taking the square root of both sides with your radical. Make sure both your answers have a positive and negative, that plus minus sign, in front of it. Now, you have to have this equal to a or it's wrong. You're solving an equation, so you still got to bring down your equal sign. The radical symbol cancels the square. So if you don't have exactly what I do, it will be wrong. Question, Isabel.
The sign doesn't matter if it goes before.
Put it with the number. She asked, could you put it with the number or the variable? Put it with the number, please. Even if you don't fix it, I mean, just draw a line to put it up in between there, but I would like it in front of it. So on F, you should have taken the square root of both sides. Square root on M cancels the squared, leaving you just an M. You have to have a positive and negative answer. Dylan, when you took the square root of 0.09, what'd you get? 0.3. Anybody else get 0.3? Nicely done. Make sure you have M equals plus or minus 0.3. Last one, same thing. We take the square root of both sides. The squared cancels, or the square root cancels the squared, leaving me a y. We always have to have two answers. On a fraction, you take it of both, yes? Ava, square root of 4/25. What'd you get? Anybody else get 2/5?
Yes.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay, one twist, ready? One little tiny twist, okay? Just like yesterday, now we gotta talk about cube roots, okay? We talked about square roots. You guys were solid putting those in your calculator. Now we gotta talk about cube roots. And if I wanna say the difficulty is, it's just paying attention of when there's a 3 or when there's not, and using the correct key in your calculator, okay? So, we got to look at our calculators. You have one right there. So you're going to do the same thing except for hit that button.
Okay.
Okay? You guys, most of you, on your calculator, your x squared button in the background was your regular square root. And then I call it the caret key, like the up arrow. In the background of that, there's like an X and then the radical symbol. Do you see it? Okay. The difficult part about this is you have to type the 3 in first. So type a 3 in. Type your 3 in. Then go second and that caret key. And this is what your computer or your calculator screen should look like. 3. Whoopsies. Come on. it should look like that. You type the number in first, so like do this. Yeah, yep. You guys on these blue calculators? No. On these blue calculators, it probably makes that 3 go up where the X is. If your 3 is out front, like a big 3, it's not going to get you the right answer. So if you have a blue calculator, yours needs to look like this. If it looks like this, that's wrong. Now type in 125 and hit equals. Interesting. That is 100% broken. Go grab one of my calculators. Is that yours? Go grab one of mine. When you typed that in, what'd you get? 5. If it doesn't say 5, okay, you forgot to type the 3 first. Type a 3, then do that same thing with the second and that one. Now type your 125. If you didn't get it, ask your neighbor. Ask your neighbor. Just type in 125. Okay, we're going to tell you. You're looking for a button that has an X with the radical on it. Okay, but it's in the background, so you gotta use your second key. Does that look what I wrote up on the board? Yeah. Now type in 125. You get it? Great, check mark. So type in 3 in. Oops, first you gotta type 3 in. Then you use second. This spot. Yep. Now type 125. You guys got it? Yes? You guys got it? Nope, cleared out. You gotta use the right key. 3. And then you gotta get the one with the X.
Oh.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
No, if you have that blue calculator, yes. Yes, his will look a little bit different than yours. Okay, so that's the difficult part, is making sure that you're using the right keys. There's 2 different keys. One you use for the square root, the other one you got to type a 3 and use for the cube root. The nice thing about these, though, you only, like, your calculator is going to tell you the sign. 125 is 5. Do this one. Do the cube root of -27. Practice typing it into your calculator. Your keystrokes are going to be 3, and then you'll have the X radical symbol with a -27, and then you'll hit equals. What's it tell you? -3. How come -3 works on this one? How come it works with a negative underneath?
Because when there's 3 numbers and you multiply them by each other, like positive and negative make a negative.
Bingo. Did you put in -27?
Yeah, and it just says 3.
There's no way. Okay? In this time, it's -3 times -3 times -3. There's 3 negative symbols, so that's why it's okay. You try H, I, and J on your own. H, I, and J. You guys are doing fantastic today. H, I, and J.
Yeah.
Jacob H. What'd you get for H?
9.
Anybody else get 9?
Yeah.
Nicely done. Allison, what'd you get for I? Anybody else get -4?
Yeah.
Good work. Don't use the minus sign. You got to use the negative sign on your calculator. It's down by your 0. If you use nope, it won't be error. If you use the minus sign, it will give you an error. Logan, what'd you get for J?
10.
Anybody else get 10?
Yeah.
Bingo. Okay, so the same thing goes with equations. Cube root, it'll tell us the sign. We don't have to worry about the signs. So if you flip to the top of the next page, K, got it, K's at the top, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they give us this equation right here and they say, can you solve this? So instead of just the square root, we need to take the cube root. I'm going to write this off to the side. It says s cubed equals 3.375. The fact that they use s as the variable drives me insane because my s's look like 5s. Don't ever use s as a variable. Silly.
O, L,
T.
T,
Z.
I love z. We'll use z a lot.
X and Z are the two bad.
Yep. X, Y, and Z. You'll learn to start writing your Z's with a line in the middle. You will use X, Y, and Z in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 a ton. All right. So to do this, we're going to draw the cubed root symbol. It's still that radical symbol, just with the cubed. And the same thing as before, cancels my cubed, leaves me S. You guys type in the cubed root of 3.375. The cubed root of 3.375. Nope, because a cubed root, you just go with whatever symbol it is. Yep, great question. We don't have to do the plus and minus on this one because it's cubed root. Whatever your calculator tells you, that's the answer. What do you get?
1.5.
1.5, and our label would be gallons. Gallons. Okay. I want you right now, just to practice before I turn you loose, to do 1, 5, 9, and 10. And then we're going to come back together. On that guided practice, 1, 5, 9, and 10. Pay attention whether it's a square root or a cubed root. I've asked you, put that down. And you need to get going because you haven't written down your notes. 1, 5, 9, and 10.
You need the positive, negative sign on this one.
Yeah, whatever's out front. Do these ones, sorry, not those ones.
Oh,
Make sure you're on the guided practice, page 74. 74. But still, to answer your question, it's just a square, it's whatever's out front. If there's no symbol, then it's just positive.
Okay.
If there's a minus sign, it's negative. If there's a plus or minus, they want both.
All right.
Okay, how do you get the square root key on there? It's behind that, so you gotta use your second key. The second key, up in the top corner, that says second. So clear your calculator, hit that second, now hit your x squared button. Now you have the square root symbol. One, 5, 9, and 10, please. Here, always. No, don't, when it's out front, don't worry about it.
oh,
Okay? Yep. Perfect. Now, when you write your answer, you got to have that negative. Yep. it's, yep, because you're solving an equation, yes. On this one, because it's s cubed, no. Perfect. Aaliyah, right? What'd you get on number 1? Negative 1.3. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree. Nicely done. Nicely done. Tyler, 5.
Equals 1/3.
Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
What do you need?
Negative.
When you're solving an equation with squared, you have to automatically put the plus minus. Just a little thing to remember. When you're solving an equation with squared, then you have to have your plus minus. Jacob J, what'd you get for 9? Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Good work. Mason, 10. You haven't gotten that one? Audrey,
9 inches equals S.
anybody else? Do you need positive, negative? Cubed, that's the tricky part. That's what we just have to differentiate. Because it's cubed, yes, it's an equation. Because it's cubed, you do not need the plus or minus. This is your whole homework assignment. I just summarized it in 4 problems. Okay? You're going to do the same exact thing. Keep track of squared versus cubed. I will always use that guided practice as like problems for us to practice in class. That will never be a homework assignment. Your homework assignment will always start under the independent practice. So in this case, it's going to start on page 75. Right at the top, they have an option that says My Homework. Write this down. You are going to do 1 through 19, all of them, but I also want you to do 43. 1 through 19, all of them. So if you want to write after 19, stop, but then don't forget to go and do 43. Just like with your worksheet, there's not as much work to show here. You can start putting in your answers. Okay? All right. The rest of the hour is yours to work. If you're frustrated with your calculator, ask now. I can gladly help you now. When it comes to your test, I can't tell you what buttons to push.
When is it?